Hey boys, and welcome back to another Bleach Bracer video, and today we have another character showcase. This time we are doing the Confident World BANKAI SHUHEI. Very good character, and we're going to get into it straight away. So going into it, BANKAI SHUHEI is a heart story character with the ARRANCAR kill ability, which in my opinion is actually very good, because as it stands right now, there aren't too many OP characters out there that are heart and have the ARRANCAR kill ability. The only two that come to mind is Senjumaru and Tag Team Renji, which is quite crazy to even include Tag Team Renji because he came out like 3 years ago, which is just, again, it's just crazy to think about. But both those characters, Tag Team Renji and Senjumaru, are definitely good replacements. In my opinion, this character, this BANKAI SHUHEI, definitely takes the cake on being the best heart ARRANCAR killer character in the game. And looking into SHUHEI's stats, he is quite stacked. So he has 1105 stamina, 642 attack, 358 defense, 351 focus, and 806 SP. And if you care about the stat rankings, you can see right here, SHUHEI has the 23rd highest stamina in the game and the 7th highest SP in the game, which is actually very good. Now the other three, they don't really matter too much because every character just gets a random number. He has a relatively high attack for an SP character, ranking at 226. Having 358 defense ranks him in the 125th highest defense stat in the game. And then he has a 351 focus, which again is just average, ranking at 111 for the highest focus in the game. So a decent set of stats, not too bad. Obviously the only two that really matter in my opinion is the stamina and SP, and with Transcendence you can take that very high, obviously capping at 1806 SP. Then if we look into his skills, SHUHEI got some very good skills. Starting from the top, we have Berserker plus 20%, Bruiser plus 20%, Debilitator plus 5 seconds, Devastation plus 40%, Frenzy, Havoc plus 20%, Nullify melee resistance 100%, and Sprinter plus 1. And breaking down the skills you can see here, so we did get Berserker plus 20% and Bruiser plus 20%. In my opinion, on SP characters, this extra Bruiser, which is no attack damage, is kind of just a throwaway. It does help, but it's not really that big of a deal. If he had it, if he didn't have it, really doesn't make that much of a difference. But the Berserker plus 20% being an additional 20% strong attack damage is very good, and it helps out his damage a lot, especially if you only have the character 1 out of 5. Obviously, since he did get weakening on all of his attacks, he does have Debilitated for 5 seconds, which is very good. If you do weaken the enemy, they're going to be weakened for 7 seconds. In addition to that, obviously, he only got 20% Berserker, because that's basically the standard nowadays. If you have any status limits on your attacks, you're only going to get 20% Berserker, and if you don't have any status limits, you're going to have a 40% Berserker and Bruiser. And obviously, as most of you know, Anniversary Ichigo, the 5th anniversary version, is an exception to that rule, because he does have weakening on all his attacks, and he does have his 60% Berserker, which is just absolutely insane. Moving on, SHUHEI also has a 40% Devastation, which is very good. That's basically the set standard for these characters. Being able to weaken on his special 2 is actually very good. Having that extra Devastation just means he's going to be able to nuke these stages a lot better, especially if your character is only 1 out of 5. Then he has Frenzy. This is basically the standard for an SP character. They don't have it, it basically means they're not usable. SHUHEI getting Havoc plus 20% is also a good addition. This increases his range on his strong attacks by 20%. Not every character is guaranteed this, so it is nice that he does have it, and it just means his strong attacks have more range. Overall, just makes him a lot better. SHUHEI also got a unique skill this time, getting the Nullify melee resistance 100%. I say new skill because technically it isn't new, but it also is, because he is the only character to have it in the game. That being said, it could have been a lot better if he did get the Marauder skill. If you don't know, Marauder is basically this, so Nullify melee resistance, and also gives him guard break skill, so he doesn't have to break the enemy's guard. Now, it doesn't matter too much that SHUHEI didn't get it because he is an ARRANCAR killer, so if you are going against ARRANCAR enemies, you don't need to break guard anyway, because guess what? They don't have melee guard break. But it definitely would have made him a tiny bit better if he did get that Marauder skill. In my opinion though, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But like I said in the last video with Hikone, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And then finish up his skills, SHUHEI got Sprinter plus 1, which just gives him an extra flash step, making him have 2 overall, which isn't too bad. Obviously, this is what you want in your characters. Having 2 flash steps is basically the standard, with a few exceptions of characters having 3 or 4 flash steps. So overall, good set of skills. The standouts are definitely the Havoc plus 20%, giving him that extra range, just making him better overall. And that Nullify melee resistance, obviously it could have been better, it could have been Marauder, but it definitely is not a bad skill. And it makes him a lot usable in more content. For example, instead of being used in only 1 week of Guild Quest, you can now use him in 2 weeks of Guild Quest, which is actually very good because this character is a hot character. He doesn't have any attribute disadvantages, and also since he can weaken on his Soul Bomb, you can easily nuke to the 5th boss if you do have this character 5 out of 5. In addition to that, having the Nullify melee resistance skill also means he's by far one of the best characters to use in the heart attribute boosted month of the Extreme Comp, whenever that decides to come back. If the enemies are ARRANCAR characters, by far you can literally just clean up the whole stage with just 4 SHUHEIs, which is in my opinion a massive plus and definitely makes him a very good character. So now it's time to talk about the attacks, and honestly speaking, this SHUHEI got some good attacks. So looking at his normal attack string, it is a 4-hit nat string with a 375 radius, the standard. No character besides the resurrection characters nowadays go above a 375 radius nat string, which in my opinion is perfectly fine, and also since he is an SP character, it really doesn't matter too much. His last 2 hits are notable because they are AoE attacks, so his first 2 hits is going to be a 150 degrees in front of him, anything in front of him is basically going to get hit, and then the last 2 hits are AoE, so that means anyone around him is going to get hit if they are within a 375 radius, and for an SP character, that is not a bad nat string. Going forward with his SA1, see what I did there, because it is a lunge forward, which is a very good strong attack for a melee character, with a 570 radius, 120% magnification, and a pretty fast activation time. It is not a bad SA1, and with these lunges, they normally can be good or bad, and honestly speaking, this Shuhei got a good lunge, can't really complain about that, in my opinion, a very good SA1. Then his SA2 is a vacuum-esque vortex. This basically sucks all the enemies in and just does a bit of damage in front of him. It has a 750 radius in front of him. Not a bad strong attack whatsoever. Starts off with a 100% magnification into a 20%. So the last couple hits are definitely doing the least amount of damage. But it does hit a lot of times, around 12 times. This strong attack right here definitely doesn't make him bad, but it could have been a lot better. I just wanted to point that out. The fact that this strong attack is a vacuum vortex means it might potentially not clear a lot of waves. With an SA2, with the 960s that a lot of characters have, you can wipe out 1 or 2 or even 3 waves with that SA2. With this Shuhei right here, he might get lucky if you wipe out 2 waves. So it's not the best strong attack, also isn't the worst strong attack, could have been a lot worse, so I can't really complain about that. But going into his SA3 is a full screen attack with a 1200 radius around him. Very good SA3, 120% magnification. It honestly doesn't get better than that, and since it is just a standard full screen, there isn't really much to talk about. Very good SA1, very good SA3, and a pretty good SA2. Overall, very good set of strong attacks. Could have been better, but also could have been a lot worse. Now it's time to talk about his soul bomb, because he does have something unique to this soul bomb, that being a debuff skill. So if you are familiar with Arskin's SA2, that being a SA2 that the moment he activates that strong attack, any enemy that's in the area, whether you're close or far away, will get infected by that debuff skill, lowering their focus, lowering their defense, and lowering their attack by 33%. Essentially, it's a reverse boost skill. And the difference between Arskin and Shuhei is the fact that Shuhei's debuff skill actually lowers their defense by 80% instead of 33% like Arskin does, which in my opinion is actually very good. And leading up to this character, there was many theories going around saying this character might be by far one of the best nukers in the game if that activates on every hit, and unfortunately it doesn't. So this debuff skill is actually a waste in my opinion. It might as well not even be it. Honestly speaking, it really doesn't make that much of a difference if you're using this Shuhei in anything other than epic raids, because if this debuff skill activated on every hit, it would have meant he would have done so much damage, especially if you used him in guild quests. If this character was 5 out of 5, he might potentially been able to nuke all 5 bosses in one soul bomb. Unfortunately, since that debuff skill only activates the moment you press that soul bomb button, it only pretty much affects the first wave of enemies. So if you're nuking in extreme co-op, if you're nuking on guild quest, the first hit are the enemies that have the lower defense. Anyone after that doesn't have the lower defense, which in my opinion is kind of a bad thing. It could have been a lot better, and since it doesn't do that, this debuff skill might as well not even be on his soul bomb. It really doesn't make too much of a difference in my opinion, which is a bit disheartening. It's nice that he has it, but honestly, doesn't make that much of a difference. Might as well not even be there. Now it's time to talk about the visuals, which in my opinion is always the fun part of the video. So just a small nitpick, I would have really preferred if this character had more visuals with his Bankai, at least in the home screen. Obviously, it kind of makes sense why he isn't running around with the chains around his neck, and it kind of makes sense that it's only in his special, so I can't really complain about that. But at least in the home screen, it would have been cool if we had the chains around him, and I feel like that would have added a bit more uniqueness to him. Again, that's a small nitpick, it doesn't really matter too much, doesn't change the character's gameplay at all, but I feel like that would have been a bit cool. Similar to how 1000 Year Blood War Aizen is in his chair in the home screen, even though he doesn't sit in the chair in his gameplay. Then his SA1 again is a lunge forward. Visually isn't anything too impressive, you just see him lunge himself forward to do a bit of damage, but right at the end when he is ending the animation, you can kind of see some small hurricane effects going around him, which is similar to Kazeshini's strong attacks, which I thought was quite cool. For an SA1 that is a lunge, they normally aren't too impressive. I feel like this one is quite impressive. Then his SA2, which hopefully I'm not butchering it. His SA2, I believe it is him using Bakudo number 63, Saijo Sabuku, which you can see the chain effect around him. And there is 2 parts to this. So the first part is him using Bakudo 63, and then the second part is him throwing his Zanpakuto into the middle of it, and it does like a spinny effect, which I think is really cool. So he's combining both Bakudo 63 into his Zanpakuto. Very cool SA2, by far one of the cooler ones in the game. Thought that was really cool. It's hard to notice it when you're playing it, but if you slow it down, you can definitely see his Zanpakuto spinning in the middle there. I feel like that's a very cool effect on his SA2, making him a bit different compared to the other characters that also use Bakudo's number 63. And then his SA3 has Shuhei throw his Zanpakuto into the air while it does a massive AoE attack around the screen, and then it falls back into Shuhei's hands. Very simple, but also very clean. I really do like it. Honestly, no complaints on his SAs right there. Now it's time for the most important part of the video, talking about his Soul Bomb, because as we all know, this character is Bankai Shuhei, and the only part of the Bankai that we see is obviously in his Soul Bomb. And I will say, K-Lab did an amazing job with this. I haven't read the novel yet, I don't entirely know what it does, I can get the general gist of it, and this animation is by far one of the best animations in the game. It's actually quite amazing. So the Soul Bomb starts up with a close-up view of the chains in a massive ball, and then we find out after it zooms out quite a bit, we see that it's in the sky and it's one chain attached to it all the way to Shuhei's neck. In addition to that, we also have another chain in front of him leading to the front of the camera, which we can only assume is attached to the enemy that we're going against, right? Obviously, canon-wise, story-wise, it is actually attached to Hikone. And then we finally hear him say the Bankai words, very, very cool, the chain moving around, and then a massive flash comes out of nowhere. We can kind of see the blood effect. Obviously, they're trying to censor it and not actually have proper blood, so it's only a white effect, and that is actually, story-wise, I believe, is Hikone cutting down Shuhei. And in a really cool transition, this white slash engulfs the background into a white plain background, and then black chains come out of nowhere, and we don't know what they're doing, and then we find out they're actually reattaching Shuhei's body, which again, they did a very cool way of censoring it, so I honestly really can't complain. It looks really, really impressive seeing Shuhei's body like detached and then reattach itself. It looks really, really cool. I'm actually honestly amazed by this. And then a massive flash comes out of nowhere into a close-up. We can obviously see Shuhei is perfectly healed. And then he just does a attack. We see bare chains come down from the sky, zooms out, and then engulfs the screen. And there you go. That is the Soul Bomb. Leading up after that, we have a few chain effects after that. Very, very cool. Honestly speaking, animation, perfect. Amazing special. By far, like I said a minute ago, literally one of the best specials in the game. It's actually very cool, especially if you slow it down and see every little tiny part about it. So now it's time to talk about the best accessories and links to use on this Shuhei. So for the last video we did with the Hikone, I felt like I spent way too long than I needed to on this part of the video, so I'm going to try and breeze through this quickly. So for the best accessories, the go-to accessories that you should be using on the Shuhei is the Zeta Pill with 30% SP. All accessories mentioned should all have 30% SP. 20% is a good substitute, but you definitely want to make sure that it eventually gets to 30% SP. So the Zeta Pill, the Fortification Pill, the Misanga, Lieutenant's Badge, Tension Tie, and the Artisanal Tea Ceremony set. That gives us 80% SP if you do have the additional 30% as a second trait. So very good accessory. The Zeta Pill you want to use when there are hidden enemies, and since this Shuhei is an ARRANCAR killer, there are most of the times going to be hidden enemies. That always is a plus in my opinion. The Fortification Pill giving you 60% SP and 30% focus, always going to be a must-have. The Misanga increasing the killer effect by 30%. You want to mainly use this in guild quests. The Lieutenant's Badge giving you 20% additional strong attack damage, almost a must-have as well. That and the Fortification Pill definitely should be the two accessories that you should have on all times. And then the Tension Tie increasing your Soul Bomb damage by 100%, almost a must-have for co-op. In single player you can kind of get away with it, you don't really need it to be fair, especially if your character is 5 out of 5. You never really need to use it after that. And then the T-Set giving you 80% SP, just increasing your SP without lowering your stamina like the Fortification Pill does. Overall, just very good accessories. You can choose which one you want to use, but definitely if you have the Fortification Pill, if you have the Lieutenant's Badge, make sure you do use those two. Now it's time to talk about the best links to use. As always, you want to mainly go with 312 recharge links, but if you have some of these, you definitely might want to go with some of them. So the first one is the Hollow Ichigo. He is a low stamina damage plus 30% link. Very good if you are trying to go with a low stamina damage build in epic raids. Then we have the Senka Aizen, by far one of the best links in the game. A 20% strong attack damage link and an additional 20% extra damage if you are full stam. By far one of the best links in the game. I always use this in Senkamon. I mainly also use this in epic raids. Whenever I want to do a lot of damage in guild quests, etc., I'm going to be having that Senka Aizen link to him. Then we have the Senkai Ichigo link, who is a 12% recharge and a last ditch survival 100% link. Very good for co-op play, especially if you are an SP character, because you can get one-shotted a lot of the times, even max transcended. So you want to make sure you aren't wasting all your revive candles. So having that recharge and that last ditch is just an amazing link in my opinion, amazing combination, and always going to be used if I have it on the character. Then we have the Human Killer Retsu and the Past Yoroichi. Both of them are 14 recharge links. That's basically all there is to it. You want to use it because you get that extra recharge. Your strong attacks coming back a tiny bit faster is always a plus in my opinion, and you definitely want to prioritize using them over a normal 12% recharge link. Then we have the Frenzy Yoruichi character. So Yoruichi is a free character. You can get her from the Frenzy ticket, and she's actually a very good link, being a strong attack damage plus 16 link and a strong attack recharge link minus 11%. Two very good links combined is always a good thing, and also the fact that since she is free, you can actually max Transcend her and get additional stats onto this Shuhei if you do have him link side. So a very good link, especially if you can Transcend her. Then we have Movie 1 Ichigo, just being a 14 recharge link similar to Yoruichi and the Retsu, just there to give you that extra bit of recharge. Then we have one of the best links in the game, by far. If you have her, definitely use her, the Swimsuit Nelio, being a 14% recharge and an additional 16% strong attack damage. Amazing combination, one of the best links in the game, one of the best resurrection links in the game, a must-have for this Shuhei. And then finishing up the link department, we have TLA Tosho, who just got his resurrection just a month ago, I believe. He is a strong attack damage 20% link and also an additional 10% recharge. And again, another amazing link. Having this Toshiro, having this Nelio, and even having the Frenzy Yoruichi is a very good combination. Your Shuhei is going to be doing a lot more damage and also getting those strong attacks back very quick. So that's all there is for the links and the accessories. Very good links, very good accessories for the Shuhei. Definitely take advantage of the good links to make him a lot better. So overall, this Shuhei is not a bad character. In fact, he's actually a very good character. However, he does have some things that definitely bring him down, that could have made him a lot better, and in fact could have made him one of the best characters in the game, one of the most perfect heart characters in the game. Obviously, the fact that he doesn't have an amazing SA2 definitely does bring him down. Not too big of a deal in my opinion, but it definitely could have been a lot better. His Soul Bomb, unfortunately, technically doesn't do anything, and that's kind of the disappointing part about this character. Obviously, it's Bankai Shuhei. The main thing about this character is his Soul Bomb, and the fact that his Soul Bomb basically doesn't do anything unique is kind of disappointing. Yes, he has the debuff skill, but as I mentioned, that debuff effect only affects the first hit of the enemies. So if you're nuking in Extreme Co-op, if you're nuking in just normal PvE, if you're nuking in Guild Quest, the first wave of enemies are the only ones affected by that debuff skill, which in my opinion is quite bad, and honestly speaking, KLab should update that so with every hit affects the debuff down. That would have made him amazing and potentially one of the best nukers in the game. Outside of that SA2 and his Soul Bomb, this character is almost perfect. He's a very good character, very good strong attacks, good combination of skills, good combination of links as well to make him even better. And the fact that he does have the Nullify melee resistance just means he's more usable in a lot of content that other characters aren't usable in, for example Guild Quest and Extreme Co-op. He's going to be able to breeze through it whenever he's a bonus. We've seen it with both 5th Anniversary Ichigo and Byakuya. The fact that you can hit everyone in Extreme Co-op is a massive plus, and it just means you can clear it a lot faster than other teams that don't have this Shuhei in your team. This Shuhei is definitely worth summoning for, and if you did get him, congratulations, you got yourself a very good character. If you did miss him and you don't want to pull on the main banner, his individual banner where you have the best chance to pull for him will be coming out in like 3 weeks time, and it will be up right before the end of month announcement, which should be Burn the Witch, so you can make your decision if you want to pull for Nini and Noelle, or if you want to pull for this Bankai Shuhei. Anyway, lads, that was the video. That was the showcase / review of Bankai Shuhei. Very fun character. Unfortunately, I don't have him. Maybe I'll pull for him when his individual comes out, but we're going to have to wait and see, because also, as we do know, Burn the Witch characters are coming out at the end of the month, and you know I got a sim for that Nini, and maybe even Noelle. So that was the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, smack the like button, share that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this character. I'm curious to know, and I'll see you lads in the next one. Peace. BANKAI SHUHEI 俺の血と命をな。